16 in memory of Vugar Gashimov. Yesterday there was a very interesting round and we had several decisive games. The players with the highest rating in this tournament started to win their games and Fabio Caruana won a nice game against Pavel Elyanov. Also Anish Giri in a lone battle won a game against Sergei Karyakin. And there was a third decisive game. Pentala Harikrishna won a game against Shakhriyar Mamediyarov. And now we have 3 leaders with +1, and then we have 3 players on the last place. So today also we can expect a very, very interesting round. And in the first game of today, we see the game between Shakhriyar Mamediyarov and Pavel Elyanov. So at this moment we have the position from the Nimzo Indian defense. This variation is very popular nowadays and I had to experience it as black in many of my games. After the move knight f3, Pavel Elyanov is thinking, and here there are 2 good possibilities for black, both enough for equalizing. One is the move c5 and another move is b6. So the move c5 leads to a more simple play, and b6 is a more complicated answer aimed to play for a win. And that's why Pavel Elyanov is thinking which line to choose. And of course the tournament situation is the following. Both of the players lost the round yesterday, and of course Shakhriyar Mamediyarov is eager to take revenge and restore his normal tournament situation. And of course for Pavel Elyanov this situation is very difficult. He is with black pieces and has to survive, otherwise he will fall much more in the tournament table. So now he has a choice which line to choose, secure or trying to play for a win. So we have to wait. Now we are moving further, and in the second game of this round we have Fabio Caruana and Hu Yifan. So Hu Yifan is the only woman in this tournament. She is a woman world champion, but recently she gave interview to ChessBase that she was going to stop playing women's chess tournaments, and from now on she is going to play only against men. And this tournament is a real test of her abilities to play against men. And in this game we have open variation of the Rui Lopez when on move 5, knight e4. This variation before was played very often by Viktor Korchnoi, and he brought a lot of things into modern chess theory. After Korchnoi, Ivan Sokolov was playing this very often on a high level, but nowadays this variation is slightly out of fashion. Of course, nobody has found concrete refutation, but still the theory considers this variation to be slightly better for white. And the idea of Hu Yifan choosing this variation is to try to get a little bit of beaten track and surprise Fabiana Caruana, who is very well theoretically developed. So in most of the games that we saw yesterday and 2 days ago, the players are trying to avoid well-beaten theoretical lines, trying to surprise the opponents. At this moment we have a very well-known theoretical position, so still both players are following the well-established theoretical trap. Now white should play bishop c2 with idea knight b3, so, or another plan, bishop c2, rook e1, knight f1, knight g3. So let's see which plan Fabiana Caruana will choose. And now we are moving further to the game Timur Rajabov against Anish Giri. Yesterday, Anish had a very long game. The game lasted almost 6 hours, and together with press conference, which was also very long and interesting. So the play went over, in total, over 6 hours. And today we have Timur Rajabov against Anish Giri. After the last move d5, Timur is thinking where to go, because now he can play knight c3 and it will be the queen's gambit, or he can play g3 and it will be a Catalan defense. Again, he must make a choice which line to choose here. White is thinking. In another game that we have, this is Sergei Karyakin against Pentala Hare Krishna. In this game, Pentala has chosen very solid Petrov game or Russian defense, which is considered almost non-breakable, non-defeatable. So a lot of strong players were playing and still are playing this variation by black in order to make a draw. The strongest player who used to play this variation during all his life was Vladimir Kramnik. Of course, it is extremely difficult to get an advantage for white after both main moves like d4 and knight e5. So that's why black chose this variation. And it will be extremely difficult for us, or extremely interesting for us, to see what white has prepared in this position. So let's see how the game develops. Knight e5, d6, knight f3, knight e4. Knight c3 is the trend that is followed by many players in the last years. The idea, after doubling the pawns on c3, to try to finish the development as quickly as possible. And this is exactly what is happening in this game. Bishop e3, queen d2, and lone castle. Even in this position, white advantage is minimal, is marginal. But since Sergei Karyakin is theoretically very well prepared, and even according to interview that he gave, there are many players, coaches working for him, so he has very deep theoretical knowledge. So let's see how the game goes ahead. Bishop e7, bishop e3, castle, queen d2, knight d7, castle, and now the move c5. I don't remember seeing this move anywhere else, and this move comes as a surprise for me. And it looks like that this move is also a new for Sergei Karyakin, because he started thinking already on move 9, which should be, of course, a known position. Do you know something? Do you want?
No, I would just like to mention that the idea of the black is eventually seems that the pawn d6 becomes very weak. For example, we see bishop f4 line. Let's say bishop plays f4 now. Yes, we can make this move, and then the idea of black is to play queen a5 probably, and then after king b1, the idea is to play rook d8, and then indirectly to defend this this pawn on dc, because if bishop takes d6, then knight would come probably to f6 or to f8, some of two moves, and then we can see that black is actually gaining the piece. So this is the reason why this pawn on d6 is untouchable for the moment. And I would say that idea, if he is able now to protect this pawn by this means, it means that he has analyzed quite well this position for black, because playing against one of the leading world players today, as Sergei Karyakin is, it is really very risky to make such a move, which I must say it sounds a little bit anti-positional, but it is probably based by straight calculations. For example, king b1, let's suppose, in order to protect pawn a2, then maybe just knight f6 comes knight to f6, and suddenly black pieces would get good squares to get out, and maybe d6, d5 is threatening. Maybe white should have to keep this pawn far away, to play c3, c4 perhaps, and just to keep pressure on this pawn. But the position becomes really somehow out of well-known games. We are not talking now if anything like this was played ever before. Probably, I mean, chess experience has been so rich that sometimes the moves we never expected were played by maybe some theoretically weaker players, but as Bobby Fischer was saying all the time, even you should never underestimate, let's say, theoretically weak player, because in certain moments he can have brilliant ideas or high moments of lucidity. So and Bobby Fischer was very modest in this sense, and he was really analyzing absolutely all kinds of possibilities. That's why he was sleeping with a chess set, small chess set under the pillow. Today probably new players sleep with a computer under the pillow. But Bobby Fischer in those years, he was waking up in the 4 o'clock in the morning and finding theoretical novelties, new ideas, and so on. Of course, chess has been changed a lot since those times. We don't have the same dealing of the positions, and especially the openings, because computers helped a lot to develop the technique of play, even the technique of defense, which is very remarkable too. And this is one of the reasons why we can observe such moves like c7, c5 of Pentala. I'm curious how will Karyakin react, because he will probably make some kind of very solid setup in order to just to try to make his position quite playable. And this is just, we better be very cautious and wait and see, because it is, of course, a very early stage, and it's very difficult to predict what may happen. Maybe Black Knight doesn't have to go to f6 necessarily. Maybe it would go to b6 perhaps.
Yeah, but
in
after
order
b6 I can block it playing c4.
And b3 later, yes, and block the knight. But then maybe comes d5. So let's suppose king b1, knight b6. Let's suppose, for example, I'm just watching possibilities: c4, bishop e6, b3, and then d5, and then he's in time.
Yeah, then black is already better.
Yes, black stands well. Yes, very well. So if this is the idea of Hare Krishna, for example, to get to aim for this, then it would be okay. Maybe it is too early to say that black is better, but black stands well. Yes.
And it is very important to say that black has managed to surprise white. So it is clearly that Sergei Karyakin is thinking now. He is out of his preparation, definitely, because on move 10 he already started to think. And time is very, very important in chess. Yesterday we saw a lot of drama in the time trouble when players were making mistakes. So now let's look at another game. Eltash Safarli against Rauf Mamedov. So both players are from Azerbaijan. They are quite young and are fighting under for the space under the sun in order to try to break the hegemony of two strongest players, Shahryar Mamedyarov and Teimur Rajabov. And of course in this tournament they're trying to show their best to prove that they also belong to the top of the Azerbaijan chess. And here in this position we have King's Indian defense. It is played quite often by Azerbaijani player. For example, Timur Rajabov always plays, but this opening is very, very risky. But it is always leading to the double-edged positions. So like in this game, I don't know the theory because I don't play this variation with neither of the colors, but the strategical idea for white is to play on the queen side, and black is playing for attack on the king side. So both sides are playing on different part of the boards. And since both of the players are making their moves rather quickly, it means that we are still following the theoretical developments. Bumir, do you know this variation, the theory of this variation or not?
Yes, I must say I was never fond of playing King's Indian with black, because I thought, yes, it gives somehow a rather strong central play by white, and then you're dedicated to play on the king side.
Mhm.
And you know, theoretically, if